Hello everybody, welcome back to Shang-Chi Bricks. I'm Alex and I'm back with another LEGO set review. This one is going to be a very positive review because I recently got this LEGO Ninjago Cold Mission Mech set from January 2026, and it is definitely, I think, one of the reasons I have definitely been going back and getting really into Ninjago. This set is awesome for a couple of different reasons, which we'll talk about. I do want to acknowledge the price, which is $35, which is something to keep in mind for this video, which I do think this set should have just been reduced for $30, but heck, this set was on sale at Kohl's for $20 at some point, which is pretty good. I wasn't able to get that deal, but if Kohl's ever has that deal again, highly recommend getting that, because this is an absolute steal for $20. Target usually likes to put sets on new lower price. So I think 30 is a perfect price for this one. 35 did feel like pushing it a little bit, but nonetheless, this is a really awesome set. I don't remember off the top of my head how many pieces this set exactly has, but around the 300 mark, so the price per piece is pretty good. But let's get started looking at our actual set. I'm sorry about my camera, and it doesn't love focusing on different objects, but this is the Cole's Mission Mech. Now, I think this set is great for a number of reasons. One of the reasons we'll talk about first is the age range, which is 7+, which in some ways I was a bit surprised about after I finished the build. Not saying that the build was particularly difficult or anything, but it definitely was still a very fun and enjoyable build, even though it was just a 7+ set, which I think is one of definitely the strengths of this set, is that I think it just caters towards all the audiences. Obviously, if you're a younger builder, this is a great set because there are a lot of different play features and ways to pose this and play with it, and there's some really cool minifigures. But then if you're an older fan, this is definitely a bigger part of the just TV show in general, especially in Season 4, Episode 10 of Dragons Rising. Because that's part of the reason I got this set. You get some really awesome minifigures, and I think it just really looks great on display. So it has a little bit of something for everyone. So overall, I am very positive on this set. Honestly, the main thing I would change is taking the $35 price down to just $30. We'll take a look at the minifigures a little later. I'll keep Cole in the mech. But overall, I think the build is pretty solid. I'd say that it's overall fairly sturdy. We can take a look at the legs kind of first. You can see that they use this kind of cool, these rocky pieces that I really like on the legs a lot, which looks awesome. There are clips on the side of the leg where you can hold the weapons, which look great. The feet is really sturdy, and I like the way it really looks like this giant rock golem monster. Feet are pretty much the same on the other side. I will take off the weapons for now, and we can kind of look at some of the weapons later. Because the weapons are a bit... oops, I just shot my spring load shooter. But the weapons are a bit distracting, so let me just quickly take the weapons off now. And then you can see the full Cole rock golem build. Yeah, overall, it's pretty sturdy, it's pretty poseable. Right now it's falling down because it's on carpet. But, when I display it on my shelf, it is pretty solid, especially with all the extra weapons and stuff. We can take a look at the hands. All the more recent Dragons Rising sets have been using this kind of gold leaf piece, which I think is cool. I do think it is maybe a bit too bulky for the set, but the actual overall design of the piece is pretty solid. You could see inside the hands here that there are Technic pins, which we'll look at the end of just the build segment, because one of the cool play features is that there are a bunch of different weapons that you can put into different spots of the golem, which look cool. In here, you can see the cockpit for Cole. We'll talk about that a little later when we look at the towards the end when we start talking more about the minifigures. But I do really like the way they put Cole in here. We'll talk about that a little more later. The head is really, really awesome. I believe there are no stickers. Oops. In the set, there are 0 stickers in the set, so that printed headpiece is really awesome. And it also is just printed, which is awesome. It is kind of falling a little bit here. Like I said, I do think it is pretty poseable. Just the feet in particular can get a little loose sometimes. But yeah, I think it's mainly because there's carpet. That's why it's kind of starting to fall. But you can get into it. It's really poseable. I mean, as you can see, you can get into some pretty interesting and funny poses like this. Now, there because this is a more this is, like I said, a 7+ build. There honestly isn't that much to look at besides just the build. I'll talk about the other things about it, but like I said, I do think that this is a really awesome display set. It looks really great on my display, and I will say when it comes to like how many pieces fall off and stuff, I will say that I did have to fly this back home. This set back home, and the head like snapped off and stuff. But overall, like all the pieces stay together surprisingly well, considering it's a 7+ set, and there's a lot of these joint pieces. In the back, you can see these pins, and then that's a great segue into the next kind of part of the review or whatever, which are these weapons. So, in the set features 3 different weapons. It features this giant sword, which uses the same sword piece as Suitor from the Thor Ragnarok set that I really liked. It kind of has one of the more boring weapons, but it kind of has this bow staff, which is definitely one of the more boring weapons, but is cool. And probably my favorite one for a number of posability reasons is this giant blaster, which I think looks awesome. We'll get into each of the individual ones and how they look on the mech in general. But one quick thing about the set is that the set is able to actually connect to, the set shares different pieces with the Ryu set. So the Ryu set that came out in the same wave as this, you can kind of transfer pieces because Ryu has the same Technic pins. So if you wanted to, you can take the buzzsaw from Ryu and, put it on this little top area for the rock golem, or if you wanted to, you could take Cole's bow staff or something right here, and you can move that to Ryu, which I think looks which is a cool play feature. Obviously, I do wish LEGO would just make in general more sets where if you buy them, they can connect together. Kind of what they did for the Infinity War sets, where there's the pod with Thor and Rocket and Groot, and then that could also connect to the big, whatever it's called, their ship. I'm blanking on what their ship was called in that movie. The Benatar. And the escape pod could connect to the Benatar. I wish they kind of had more sets like that in LEGO, where if you happen to buy those 2 sets, then you would be able to connect them together. We'll look at how the weapons look on the actual build. So, the sword has a kind of hole right here, which you can put in either of the hands. I think it looks best in this hand, and then you can kind of close the fingers together. One minor complaint about the set is that when you put the weapons in, especially because this set is on carpet, it does kind of like drag down a little bit. Now, the reason why I like this blaster so much is that there's multiple ways to pose this. If you wanted to, you could strap it to the back here and kind of have like a holster kind of thing for him on the back, which I don't think looks as good. But then what I did learn is that there's also an area for a Technic pin on the back here in the middle. So I think it looks really awesome when he's holding his blaster in kind of the palm of his hand, like this. I think that looks very cool, but as you can see, it is getting a bit unbalanced because just the design of the feet are a bit kind of wonky, as you can see here. I promise on like table or on like a harder surface, because I'm on carpet right now, on a harder surface, it works better. But I think the way that blaster is held in his hand looks really good. Now, unfortunately, because of stability reasons, it doesn't really work to put the bow staff on this kind of side piece on his hand. That's the only way you could put the bow staff on there is if you remove the gun, because it's just simply too much weight for that arm. So the best place to put the bow staff, in my opinion, is the back, which is right there. And I think that kind of balances out the weapons a lot better. And then also, for example, like the Ryu set has like a buzzsaw, so I think you're supposed to put you could put like the buzzsaw on there. But overall, the overall set I think has a lot of playability because you can customize the weapons around, and like you can see here with the set falling down, it is extremely poseable, which is awesome. Now, one last thing we'll talk about before the minifigures is how Cole is integrated to this set, because when I first heard that Cole is in this set, I was a bit annoyed. You see, this is minor spoilers for the show, and I know that the LEGO sets in this show are a separate thing, especially because obviously the sets and the Lego set designers and the writers of the show kind of work. They kind of have to like communicate to each other different things, but they're not exactly working side by side all the time. So there are definitely some mishaps in communication. Now, I do think that this set definitely needed three minifigures. It definitely wouldn't have been great if this set did not have three minifigures. So obviously it makes sense to have Cole in the set because from a marketing standpoint, it makes sense to have Cole in the set because obviously this is a Cole-based build. But in the show, he becomes the golem. Because it's not like this is like a mech that he pilots. And then obviously the title of Cole's mission mech doesn't make a ton of sense because it's kind of called the rock golem. But once again, the set designers and writers don't have perfect communication. But I think the way they put Cole into this build looks really good. Just because I think from a younger kid aspect who maybe hasn't watched the show, of course you want to put a figure into the mech. But then from a collector standpoint, or someone who wants to display the set, obviously you don't want Cole's head poking out up from the kind of chest plate. So, as you can see here, you can only really see his hair, his black hair, which blends in, and actually just kind of adds some extra texture, which is nice, because I just really like that. It was kind of a nice surprise to me, because he really is the rock golem, and we'd have no reason for his kind of head to pop out from under the head of the golem, because that is him. So I do really like the way they're able to perfectly balance, from a playability and marketing standpoint, to a show accurate. I guess we can take a look at Cole next. I have my stand here. I'll take the golem away, but there are three minifigures included in this set. I don't really exactly know the exclusivity of them. Now, first we'll take a look at Cole. I think this is a good way to display my minifigures on screen. Let me know if you like this for more set reviews in the future. But, so first we got Cole here. I'm not 100% sure if this is exclusive. All the parts are used in other figures, because if you didn't know, this is what the Dragonus forms look like. So the Dragonus forms use the same torso and legs as the kind of just standard normal figure. I think this might be the only set we could get the standard Cole. I know the most recent Ninja Combiner vehicle set, the Cole and Kai Combiner vehicle, that also has the exact same version of this figure. But if you happen to have the Dragonus Cole from the from the Dragon of Life set, then you would have this torso and legs. You just wouldn't have the hair if you don't have another Cole figure that has the hair, if that makes sense. Anyways, I do really like the way they did the Dragonus figures. I think the scale actually looks really cool. And even if they don't have their full dragon kind of suit, I do think like all the scales and the armor looks really, really great for him. I think the inclusion of the mask was really solid too. You can see the standard alternate Cole head, which is pretty standard for Ninjago figures these days. I'll take off the armor here, so you can see what Cole's torso looks like on the other side, which is kind of some more dragon scale kind of back armor. But I think one of the reasons Cole has been one of my favorite ninjas is kind of just the character design. I think just the black and orange color scheme has always looked really good in the sets and the suits. So I think this is definitely one of the best of the kind of dragon form suits. It's kind of hard, standard dragon form suits, because your Dragonus suits are when they get very powerful. But I think this looks very good. Cole has always been one of my favorite ninja, and even though he isn't very prominent in the show, I do like to try to get some of his sets, because I do think he is just really cool. So a really great Cole minifigure. And then also from like a younger kid standpoint, I think this is definitely like an awesome minifigure, and even if this isn't the kind of most complex version of Cole, it definitely is really, really good looking. Next up is definitely the standout figure of the set, and one of the reasons a lot of people bought this set, which is the Dragonus form Zane. So this is, if you didn't know already, this is what the Dragonus figures look like when they are fully a dragon. So the torso and legs are also used in just the normal Zane figures, just like how Cole is. But then what's exclusive is, of course, well, actually, technically for Zane, this helmet piece is not exclusive, but for almost all of the other dragon figures, yes, the helmet is exclusive, but then also the wings and then the tail piece on the back. You can kind of see what they look like from the back. I really love the tail piece. I'll take the wings off so we can see that. But the wings look really cool. It is the same wings that were used on the dragon, they weren't Dragonis, I forget what they're called. The dragon kind of warriors from season 3 of Dragons Rising, like the dark red ones. So they reused the dark red ones for Kai, but the white ones. Hello, everybody. Welcome back again to Shang-Chi Bricks. I apologize for some technical difficulties, but my iPad did cut out while recording this video, so I took a couple of images, and we will continue with the Lego set review. Now, overall, I think what I like about the Dragonis figures is this tail piece, because the tail piece looks like it's coming out of the torso, and I think that just looks very good. I think the way it looks like they really became dragon definitely differs from the dragon form from crystallized, so I think from that sense, it does look very good. And I also think that the light blue and white contrast really well together for Zane. So I overall think that the Dragonis figures are really, really good. I hope to collect some of them down the line, and I wouldn't say that this figure is worth that you should get the set just for the figure. I think that you should get the set for the set in general, because I think it is an amazing set. But I do think that if you are trying to collect all the Dragonis form ninja, I do think that this is definitely one of the better figures that I have seen in person. Yeah, so we'll continue with the next figure now. This next figure is the Acid Monster. This appears in many sets, but I believe as of now, this is the cheapest set you could get him in. He kind of has a very serpentine vibe with that kind of snake tail on the back, and he looks really cool. I do wish he was in cheaper sets than just $30, but his headpiece is really cool. Even though I can't, if you saw the side of his head, you can see he has like acid bubbles on his neck, which look really cool, because technically the acid monsters are the reincarnation of the element of water. So I do like kind of those kind of air bubbles or water bubbles for the acid coming out of the monster, so I think that headpiece is probably my favorite. He also has this cool spiky weapon, and he has green scales all over him. Overall, what do I think of the set? Now, I have said this many times, but I think that this Cole's Mission Mech set is absolutely awesome. I ended up getting it for $35, but I do think that $30 is probably a more appropriate price. But like I said, at one point, Kohl's did have this set for around, I think just $20. I missed out on that sale, but if you ever see that sale again, I highly, highly recommend you check this one out, because it is an awesome set for the figures, and then I also just think that it's a great set for all ages. Like I said before, if you're a younger kid, this is an awesome play set with lots of play features and weapons, but then if you're an older fan, it's a very main part of the finale of Season 4, Part 1 of Dragons Rising, which is a very beloved Ninjago Dragons Rising season. And then also, you get 3 really, really awesome minifigures. So let me know what you thought of this LEGO set review. I'll see you on the next one when my camera doesn't lag. Goodbye.